So in the beginning of the year, I told myself that I was going to run a marathon and be one of my three main goals, three milestones before the year ended. I told myself that I would run a marathon before the year ended. Now, in my history, in my life, I've never really ran. I did 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter dash. I never did anything crazy. I never did anything long distance. Even in high school cross country, I found ways to dodge, the long runs. I found ways to maneuver around and cut the line and shorten my period of running. So I didn't have a baseline for believing that I could do this. I didn't have a history of running that told me, okay, since you've done this, you're able to accomplish this. And I knew this would be the hardest thing I would ever have to do in my life. I look at all things that I've done in my life, all my accomplishments, all the things that I've achieved. And this was the first thing that I really looked at and I was like, I can't believe I actually did that. I can't believe I actually was able to accomplish that. Right? Like graduating high school, graduating college, getting my first job, all these accomplishments I've had in the past, I could always believe where it came from. I always knew it was achievable or accomplishable. But this was the first time that I was like, this is actually the most unbelievable thing I've ever done in my life, which lets me know that there's more unbelievable things to accomplish moving forward. And I started for the marathon in May, right? And for the next 7 months, back of my mind was always, okay, I gotta train. I have to train. For the first 3 months after I signed up, I didn't really train. I didn't really do anything, right? It was like the last 4 months of the year that I kind of started to change habits and started to train harder. And guys, I did a couple of long runs. Like long runs are anything like 5 plus miles. I did 10-mile runs, 15-mile runs, 20-mile runs. And for the most part, I was fine throughout all of them. Like obviously I cramped up. I felt, fatigue and soreness. But on the day of the marathon, I started running, and I kid you not, within six miles, I felt a cramp in my rib. I couldn't believe that I ran so many 6-mile runs in my life. I couldn't believe that after 6 miles, I was feeling such pain. And it eased up a little bit. I drank some energy gels or whatever they're called, the gooey gel things you drink when you work out. I drank some of them, or chewed. Did drink or chew? I don't know, but I took some of them, and then I was fine. And then by mile 10, I don't know how to describe the pain I felt or the cramps. I was cramping in places I didn't know you could cramp in. I was feeling things I never felt in my life. 28 years of my life, I never felt such pain. I didn't even know you could experience these things. Because in my life, I've never been to the hospital, needing to go to the hospital. I've never had any medical emergency. I've never had anything. I've never been worried about anything. This was the first time that I was like, my body doesn't feel like my body anymore. It doesn't feel like I'm inside of my body. This feels like somebody has attacked my body, basically. And I was at mile 10. And I had 16 more miles to go. I couldn't believe. First of all, I knew I would finish it for one reason, and one reason only. I paid money for that marathon. There was no way in God's green earth that I was going to pay money for something and then not get my money's worth. That was never going to happen. So I knew I was going to finish the marathon. It was just a matter of, can I finish it in the time that I wanted to finish it in, which was like 4 hours, 15 minutes, 4 hours, 30 minutes, around a 10-ish, pace per mile. And before that cramp at mile 10, I was perfectly fine. I was cruising. I had the rib, soreness, but my form was good. Everything was fine. And then mile 10 hit, and I can't even count on my hands the amount of times I stopped to stretch, the amount of times I stopped to like drink water, or I stopped so many times, and it was really pissing me off because I knew if I was just fine, perfectly fine, not to keep stopping, I could have hit the time that I wanted to hit. But at the end of the day, I finished it. And a friend of mine came at mile 17 to cheer me on. And when I saw him, I almost started crying. I was in so much pain. I was so sore. I wasn't even tired. It wasn't even like my lungs were I was just in pain. Both my thighs, both my calves were I don't even know how to describe the level of pain that I felt. I felt like I was being beat on my legs the whole entire time. I saw my friend at mile 17, and I showed him my calf. My calf was literally pulsating like there was an alien inside of my calf. It was literally pulsating. I couldn't believe the kind of pain I was in. And mind you, on the marathon, they said oh, we're gonna have fueling stations, we're gonna have med station. I thought they were gonna have med stations like, medical people, or maybe like BioFreeze. Then you spray on when you're cramping or you're sore. You think you spray it on your body and you start to feel a little bit better, right? I didn't see the BioFreeze people until mile 21. I saw the lady. I almost cried. I almost fell in her arms. I was so happy to see her because I was like, I thought you guys would have this by like mile 13 at the half marathon, or at mile 15, or mile something a little bit earlier. They had it at mile 21. At that point, I was like, bro, I got 5 miles left. I have 5 miles left. I'm happy to see you, but it's like, where were you 10 miles ago, 5 miles ago, 6 miles ago? I needed you then. But anyways, she gave me the stuff and I finished it. And mind you, when I saw the marker that said 25 miles, 26 miles, and there was 200 meters left to go, and then you run back into the crowd and everyone is cheering you on. At that point in time, I kid you not, both of my thighs, both of my calves were in so much pain, was so sore. But I was like, I can't walk the finish line. They're gonna take pictures of me. I can't look like I'm cramping or I'm in pain. I put on the fakest smile, the fakest brave face. This is how you know some people can fake it in life. This is how you know people can fake who they really are, because I was faking who I was in that last minute or so, just to make sure I look good for the pictures I'm about to buy. But I was in so much pain. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter because I still finished, and it let me know that if I can do this unbelievable thing, how much more can I do next year or the year after that? Or when I get to my 30s, what can I accomplish in that period? And it's really a no for everybody. This is somebody that has never ran long distances. I didn't start running long distances until last year. Right? I've never ran long distances. I've never been somebody that was good with stamina or just like breath control, any of these like long distance runner things. And in 2 years, I basically got up to shape. And in 1 year, not even 1 year, like 6 months, I was able to run a marathon. And that is how quick life can change. I told some people the story about my marathon and all the training I did and the foods and the diet or whatever. And some people were like, man, I don't know how I can do that. I was like, you literally can. You're probably more in shape than I was when I started running, period. So, and this does not have to be with running. That has to be with, exercising or anything. It can be any area of, if you like, it could be your faith, it could be your finances, it could be your job, it could be your career, it could be your, whatever we want it to be. But if somebody like me can do what he did, I truly, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say, guys, I could not run a mile in 2023 under 10 minutes without stopping. I could not run a mile, and I was able to run 10 miles in under 10 minutes each mile. You have to understand how big of a jump that is. And that's how life can change so quickly for somebody. For whoever watching this video, that's how quickly life can change. And you just have to believe. You have to believe and you have to put in the work. And even when I look at the work I put in, it wasn't so much like it was like a struggle. It was more so I just made it a routine. I told myself that I was going to do this thing and held myself accountable every single day. Sometimes I was injured. I don't know. Every single week, do something to get closer to that goal. And I think people look at life or look at goals and they think, oh, I have to be 100% every day. I think you have to be 100% at the end of the week. Put your best into the entire week. So that might mean on Monday you're 5% because you're sick or you're tired or whatever, and then the next day you're 15%. But as long as you add up to 100% and you do your best throughout the week, you're fine. And that's kind of how I was looking at it. I was always somebody that I wanted to be perfect every single day. I wanted everything to be 100% every single day. If I don't accomplish this, by the end of the day, I feel the day wasn't a success. And I had to kind of just slow down, realize that there's so much time in a week, there's so much time in a day, there's so much you can accomplish on a day-to-day, month-to-month, week to week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis. Just take the time to do it. Put in the work. Be consistent. Challenge yourself. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, and I did it. Now when I look at other things I want to do, moving forward, they don't seem as hard anymore. They don't seem as challenging. Obviously, they will be challenging, but I'm thinking to myself, if I can do this, what I just did, what more? Like, what else is there? Not what else is there, but I can do anything else from here. So, I have a couple of things I want to show you guys. This is my, I don't know. I'm never gonna lose this. I'm never gonna get rid of this. It's gonna stay with me in my memorabilia box until the day I die. Look at that. Matter of fact, on the day of my burial, bury me with these two things. Bury me with these two, because those are the two hardest things I've ever had to. I can't even quantify it, put it into words. But that is my message. That's literally my message. You are capable of everything you put your mind and power to, especially with the backing of God. That's the one thing I can't even understate. The fact that God was with me throughout this entire journey process made it so much easier. I promise you, if I didn't feel the support or feel the backing, I would not have been able to accomplish half of what I accomplished. But at the end of the day, we got there in the end. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to friends and family that, you know, supported me throughout the journey and pushed me and encouraged me and you know, just loved on me and made me feel like I could accomplish this goal. I'm so grateful to every single one of them. And now I'm just so excited about 2026 and what I can achieve next year. What are my goals for next year? And using this as a starting point, like if I could have done this, then I'm very much sure I can do that. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Before you leave, always remember you are capable of anything you put your mind to. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace out.